Well, here we go. It is a blizzard outside as I look out my window. I'm sure you guys are feeling the same thing, but we're just going to keep rocking, and you're going to start writing a business plan. This is so exciting. I'm really glad we were able to touch base yesterday for you to get a preview of all of this. But we are going to start with part 2. Why are we not starting with part 1? Because that's an executive summary that kind of gives you an overall look at the business, and it's hard to write one when you haven't planned your business. So part 2 it is. What I'm going to recommend is that you get yourself organized in your Google Drive, make a folder for advanced business, put a Google Doc inside of that folder and label that like your last name business plan or your business name business plan. Please give me editing capabilities. I want to do more than just to be able to view it. I want to be able to edit, because if this weather doesn't settle down and don't quote me on it, but not having school tomorrow too, I want to be able to edit this and then work on completing a final draft with you. I think the whole Gatorade thing just isn't working out for you guys either, because here we are at home. Anyway, let's get into this. You're also going to want to locate your little booklets that I gave you yesterday. You're going to want to take diligent notes on this, and then basically turn your notes into sentences. And the beauty of a recording is you can hit pause if I'm going too fast. So I want to get started. The heading that you're going to use is part 2 dash description of proposed business. Now, I don't think I really have very much for writing capabilities. I'm going to try. Oh, this might work. So around the dashes, no, doesn't look like it's going to work. Hang on. I'll try it one more time. Around these dashes, here we go, I want you to have a space, dash, space. And without getting all like keyboarding technical on you, that basically gives you a longer dash. And it just, I always tell students, dashes should be hugged with spaces on either side. So that's me being really technical, but I want this to be a really professional look. So we're heading part 2, space dash space, description of proposed business. This can be bolded as well. I am looking for probably 4+ paragraphs. Now, I don't want you to freak out. That's a lot of paragraphs. It's a lot of writing, but I'm going to tell you almost sentence by sentence what to type. Sometimes we'll utilize headings. In this case, you will not need subheadings. Okay, so you're just going to start writing. I used to make my students write in third person. I used to make my students always have intros, like in this section, we are going to cover da 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 da. And it was actually the bankers that said, cut the fluff. Like, we don't need this fancy pants stuff. Just write professionally, write with a business mindset, and we like reading that better. So I went with the banker's suggestion. In paragraph 1, I want you to just give us a snapshot of your overall business. This is kind of like your elevator speech. You're in an elevator, someone says, oh, so what do you do? Well, I'm an entrepreneur, and I started Fairs, Feathers, and Fins, and I'm sorry if I said that wrong, okay. But, or I am the La-di-da bakery, or whatever the case is. This is your 2 to 3 to 4 sentences of overall what your business is. So you are going to just say something as simple as, I am excited to share with you my business idea. Here is where you're going to tell us just briefly, what do you sell? And kind of like we talked about yesterday, you're either going to have products or services. You're going to be heavier on one side versus the other, but you'd still have products. Like at Dental Depot, obviously they're there to provide a dental service, but they sell a few products as well. Whereas Inherit is very much product-based. They likely have a few services, but you're going to be one or the other. And here's where you'd want to explain that. and just give us a brief rundown of what you're going to do. Put a sentence that says, I am part of the ... industry. Whether that's tomorrow I give you a lesson on that or the next time we're together, you will all fit under what's called a NAICS. NAICS is a acronym for industries. Like, for example, and here it would be in a retail industry, it'd be in a clothing industry. Place like Grand Stay or any hotel would be in the hospitality industry. And so we're going to just put a label on the type of business that you are, but that's a little bit over your heads for today. So just have a sentence ready to go, like, I am in the ... industry, and we'll replace those ... with which actual industries you're in. So that's really all it is. Here's who I am, here's what I sell and how I make my money, and I'm in the ... industry. That's that first paragraph. As you get into your next paragraphs, you can kind of tell these green bulleted points are your paragraphs. You need to share with your reader, in this case it's me and the banker, where the idea came from. So what personal ties do you have to this idea? You kind of pleaded that case on the Flipgrid. You chose this business because you're passionate about it. And I keep talking about this entrepreneurial fire that's burning inside of you. Some of you, it's like exploding at the seams. Like, you can't wait to share this. Several of you commented on each other's videos that, like, this does not surprise me at all that you would have a snowmobile dealership, Tyler Buss, because that's all you talk about and you love snowmobiling. You know, a few of you, like, you know, I think of Nevaeh and Solomon, they are obviously very passionate about those. You know, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here, but your personal history, I mean, William, you've already done a construction company with your family. So I think you are a really great class, and I've told you this already several times, as to, like, you already have this fire inside of you just because of your personal ties to the idea. Has someone inspired you? You know, I think of Madison, you said your family has been talking about doing a business like this for a long, long, long time. And so that's great. Maybe there's entrepreneurs in our community that have inspired you. I'm not trying to gain any accolades here, but maybe you've had business classes that have really inspired you to try this. So someone likely has inspired you to do this. Personal history, like I mentioned, William, maybe you've done this and you've watched your family do this likely since you've been a little boy. If you have no personal history, though, don't say I have no personal history. Just omit that sentence. Have you had any training or classes? So that's kind of going back to that, you know, the business classes that you've taken. Maybe it's advanced fit, or you're a 3-sport athlete and you see that, you know, fitness is really important and health and wellness is really important. I think about Joseph, and you're tinkering with, you know, vehicles. That becomes very much a hobby. And so whether you've had formal training classes or not, I'm trying to pull out, like, where this idea came from. Perhaps you are, you know, you're in Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, you have an Eagle Scout award. Maybe you are that 3-sport athlete and you're a captain in each of the sports. Maybe you've been a pivotal member in student council. Now, what does that have to do with the business? It's those leadership characteristics that have bred you to be the leader and an entrepreneur in a business that you create. So here would be a great place to talk about those. How would it sound in writing? You know, my experience in athletics and activities within my school have grown me as a leader, which would take me to the next step as a business owner. And by the way, you can use that exact sentence. So if you need to stop, rewind, and listen to that again, not a bad idea. In this section, also talk about your strengths and weaknesses. Like, for me, I think my creativity is a huge asset. It certainly has been in these 48 e-learning lessons that I've made. But that could be a strength. My weakness is that I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I will not stop. Whether I beat down my body physically or mentally, I will not stop until things are perfect that way. So I then could transfer those strengths and weaknesses into being a business owner. Please turn any weakness into a positive. So although a perfectionism could be looked at as a weakness, it also will provide constant success for me. I just would need to work on managing that perfectionism so I don't let it get away from me as a business owner. Sentences like that. I mean, that bullet point alone might be 2 or 3 sentences. This is a tough one because I really want the banker to help you decide on your location. So why don't you just get a section ready, and then we will be actually partnering with bankers hopefully as early as next week over just like a quick meet and greet. And so just have this section ready. Have like a little lead-in sentence like, I chose Fargo as my destination for, home to my business for several reasons. But then just put some ... dots because we're going to add more to this section after the bankers tell you what they would suggest for owning or leasing. If you have a vision on what your facility will look like, you could talk about it here. You know, we think of the Apple Store. Again, Solomon, I know you're smiling now, but you think of the Apple Store, it's very white, clean lines because they want the products to be king. And that's when, if you think about when you walk by the Apple Store in the Mall of America, all you see at like your eye level are all the products just beautifully displayed there. You know, if you want to have a real industrial look with exposed piping and like the wrought iron, like tubing everywhere, concrete floors, exposed ceilings, you could talk about that. No matter if you're going to rent or buy, you can still outline that. You know, Pearl, as we talked yesterday about the little jewelry craft bins, you can paint that picture whether you're going to own or lease. So put something in here, but if you have some ... dots because you're undecided on whether you're renting or buying, we'll let the bankers talk about that, help with you. Other intriguing information, you know, if you're a Morris kid and you're going to go off to college and you're going to come back with just that much more experience, or maybe you're like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I am going to just start this business, and you decide I'm going to come back to Morris, like pull at the heartstrings of your reader and know that your roots are very deep rooted here and you want to come back and continue to build our economy. Having a paragraph about that you want to see your hometown continue to grow, that's great. Now, if you're in Alexandria or you are in Northern Minnesota or Fargo business, it's going to be a little harder to pull at heartstrings, but you could still talk about that those economies are not only surviving but thriving, and that you want to just add to that success. That's where you kind of like pull at the heartstrings of the reader to go, this is why this business is a good idea. So those are your paragraphs. I'm looking at my time and I see that I'm almost at 14 minutes. So I've eaten up about 30 minutes of about half of your day here with me. I still would like you to try to write a little bit because it's fresh and you should be excited about this and it shouldn't feel hard. I should also tell you a few more reminders. Really start retraining your brain for professional writing. Now, remember, I'm not here to teach you how to write a research paper, or we're not going to write a poem, but this is professional business writing. So if you start sounding like you're writing a text message or a social media post, it's too loose. You need to tighten up that language and be more professional. Please avoid contractions. Some of you will use these a lot, and I will constantly be saying spell out, spell out, spell out, spell out. So something like could have should be could have. So please avoid contractions. I really like lead-in sentences. So it's kind of like that little intro to the paragraph. So if I go back here, all these main green bulleted points should kind of have a lead-in sentence. Like, for example, that second one, there have been many things that have contributed to the idea of bringing my passion to life. And then as I think about the location and what those facilities will look like, here are my thoughts. And it's just going to soften your project so much. Just like when you put lotion on your hands, it's just a soft feel, and it just, or like buttering your pancakes, it just gives it that real smooth, fluid feel, and that's what I want from you. With numbers, we'll get into this. Anything 100 and up, use the number. 99 and down, write that out. Write that out. So 99 would, of course, be spelled out 99 versus 99. So I'll help you as I edit to flip or catch some of those mistakes. It's just, again, professional business writing. And I can't believe I haven't talked about this yet, but this hasn't happened. You are not operating this business yet. You are in the very infant stages of developing not even the business, but the business plan. And so you are hopeful your future plans could include versus this business. It's all very much future tense. If you say, even in your intro here in part 2, that you want to go pursue a business major and then come back to the community and start this business, awesome. Like, that's realistic future tense. None of this is fake and made up. You are acting like you're really going to start this business, but not this week, this month, or even this year. So be very realistic with timelines, but hopeful that they would give you a loan for a business of this nature. So as far as getting started, you should just sit down with a Google Doc, and instead of staring at a screen, you reference the notes that you just took, turn all of these into sentences, and I bet you'll be past one page in a half an hour. I'm not going to bet you Gatorade, though, because I'm not there to watch you. Please email me if you have questions. I know now I've taken up almost 18 minutes of your 30 minutes, but I would hope and I would know you well enough to think you're pretty excited to start writing. So good luck. I'm very proud of you. And hunker down because it's a blizzard. Okay, bye.